Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. Honored to be connecting in with you. And we have a really exciting show lined up for you. It's a subject matter that's just so near and dear to my heart. And I'm thrilled and honored to have so many of you tuning in. And I've gotten lots of comments leading up to the show today. So I know there's a lot of interest and excitement as well about how can we build a stronger relationship with our pets, with those animals in our lives. Have you ever wished you could understand them more, hear what they're saying on a deeper level? Today, we have an amazing expert that this is what she helps you do. And she is not only just an amazing person, teacher, and mentor, she's a mentor of mine as well and has taught me so much about animals and how to connect and hear. And I can tell you, my world has opened up in so many amazing ways and is so much richer for the journey that I've had with her and the opportunity to go deeper with the animals in my life. So I'm just honored to have each of you leaning in. I know you're going to get great value out of our time together and have that opportunity to consider how to hear those messages, how to go deeper with those animals in our lives, whether it's pets or animals that cross our path. How can we go deeper with them? Oh, great information. I want to prepare the way for all of us to receive as much as we can out of our time together today. So here's my invitation. Let's take a deep breath together, all the way to your toes. And I invite you to choose to be fully present. Breathing in that beautiful oxygen. Breathing out as you release all that no longer serves. Creating more room and space to be open to receive all that will serve. Because here's what I know. There is a reason you have felt called and drawn to tune in. And I want you to drink in everything that is here for you. If you've had those animals that catch your eye, touch your heart, cross your path, there's a reason. And today, my intention is for you to receive, to expand, to perhaps take another step to connect a little bit more with those in your life. As you're pausing and breathing and choosing to be present, removing all those distractions, I invite you to close your eyes. You are absolutely safe. Eyes closed. Deep breath in. Let's put both our hands on your hearts. Notice that heartbeat. As you're breathing out, don't forget to breathe out too. In and out. Both hands on the heart. And notice the heartbeat. Notice the pause in between the beats. And in that still small pause, what is the message for you today? What is your heart wanting to share and whisper to you today? What is it that you need that will encourage you, empower you, support you? That you are willing to receive because you absolutely have a choice? What is it that you need or are being reminded of? And you're willing to receive. What, not how. Beautiful. Receive that information. Let's take another breath. Come back into the room. Eyes open, fully present. And I encourage you to take a moment and write down what was laid on your heart. The message. What is it that you need and are willing to receive? Beautiful. I invite you to keep this information top of mind as you're bringing it forward, writing it down, co-creating it, starting to interact with it. To keep that paper handy, let's take notes as insights and information or ideas bubble up during our time together. Capture it real time. That's part of helping bring what you need forward. Beautiful. I'm going to go around our virtual room now and bring on our amazing guest. And Elizabeth, I would love for you to share what was laid on your heart when you took a moment to stop, pause, and listen.
Oh, I'm so excited. This was really perfect for this show because my little kitty, Stella, came over just as you said, feel the heartbeat. And she pressed her chest into my calf, and I could actually feel her heartbeat. She was to me, I know she's listening to you, and the message was, we're all connected, and you have more support than you can imagine. And it almost made me cry.
Oh, thank you for sharing. I'm so honored Stella's joining us today, too. That's beautiful. And that reminder that we're all connected and there's more support than we know. I appreciate you sharing that. It's funny, as I was getting ready for the show, Darla, my cat, came over as well, and she's curled up right here. And then Pumpkin, who's in outside of the office, was also being verbal and wanting to share and participate. So listeners, there's just so much support. And that's one of the big things I have learned and is coming to my heart is there is so much love and support out there for us if we could just hear it. Listen, receive. And I think that's one of the things that has enriched my world so much as I've stepped into this space and had the opportunity to connect with so many animals. I appreciate your share, Elizabeth and Stella. And listeners, I want you to pause and really see what is coming to your heart. What are you receiving? What are you hearing? Perhaps an animal in your life has come closer to leaning into this conversation as well. Take a moment and see. As we go to our first commercial break, I encourage you to stay present, really listen to, receive, see what's being placed on your heart, what's being placed on your spirit, and we'll continue our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow Voice America at Facebook.com/Voice America for juicy updates from your favorite radio shows and podcasts.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Voice America programs are now available on your favorite connected device, including Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Through streams with Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, and iHeartRadio, listening to your favorite show is as easy as saying the show name followed by the word podcast.
Hey, Alexa, play Finding Your Frequency podcast.
If that doesn't work, try adding on TuneIn or on iHeartRadio or on Apple Podcasts.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes just for you. An opportunity to be present, to be still, to listen, and start to see. Are you noticing animals coming a little closer during our time together today? Perhaps you're having that experience as well as they lean into this conversation and that opportunity to connect with you further. Or as you go back out in the day, you might notice animals coming closer or crossing your path in different ways as we lean into that connection and learning more. Oh, you got to hear from our amazing guest in the opening segment as she shared how she was excited and how Stella came forward in that reminder that we are all connected. And it is my privilege and honor to introduce Elizabeth Long to you. She's an interspecies activator, collaborates with the animal kingdom, a teacher, a communicator, and more. Her 45 years of creative and spiritual study, her direct path from her MFA to animals. Animals support us in growth and transformation. In her animal communication classes, she helps students hear what animals are saying. She is passionate about helping you connect more fully with animals and really stepping into that full alignment of who you are. Please lean in. Warmly welcome the powerful and dynamic Elizabeth Long. Welcome.
Thank you, Rebecca. I really want to thank you for having me on. I always have so much fun talking to you about animals. You know, it's just my favorite thing to do. And I just want to say to everyone getting started today in what we're going to talk about that the premise I work with is, of course, you all already communicate with animals, and everything we're going to talk about today or in any of my classes, it's all about just helping you find that foundation point and expand it, develop your knowledge.
Mm. Thank you for that reminder, and I appreciate that because we do communicate, we do connect, and we can go deeper, we can hear more, and build on that. I love it. I'd like to start with a bit of a personal question, if that's okay today.
Sure.
Are you okay with that? So my question is, why?
Yeah.
Why this work? I know you love it. I know you have a passion for it, but I know it's not necessarily always what you did professionally. So I'd love for you to share why this is something that you have leaned into so much and helped so many people with it.
Well, the sort of turning point answer, there's a lot of answers for that.
Sure.
Point was when I was working with a channel named Jackie Salvitti, and she has a practice called ET healing. And at one point, it was a slow point in my life. I was struggling learning some lessons. I guess that's the best way to put it. And at one point, they said to me, you know, the animal kingdom is bringing you an invitation. And that invitation is to, you know, act as the voice of the animal. And, you know, Archangel Michael was there. And I was just kind of stunned, you know, and I was like, uh-oh, I can't get out of this. You know, I can't say no to this. So that is what stimulated me to say, okay, let's get organized. Let's do this professionally. You know, it's not just a part of my artwork. It's not just something I constantly talk about with friends, you know, and we have fun with. So that was really the opening for me.
And how long ago was that? Do you mind me asking?
That was back in 2011 or 12.
Mm-hmm. And has it been something that you're so glad you said yes to? Are there moments where you question that? What has that been like for you?
Well, I am somebody who just has a constant sort of thirst for new information, for learning new things. And I've been that way all my life. The umbrella under which I do that is creativity, artwork, writing, exploring, discovering. And talking to animals is very satisfying in terms of learning. I learn something new every animal I talk to. I may struggle with the business end of having a practice, but when I sit down to connect, it's pretty great. I just, every time I enjoy it. So, I might struggle with life. I might question life, but this is something that, the core of what I do, just the connection with the animals is really smooth.
I love that, and that it's something that you just have such joy in and help so many people with. And I know I have been on the journey a much shorter time in mine, and I have found that I'm constantly learning and growing and stretching and continuing to become more and more who I am through what I discover and learn as I connect with so many animals, and their love and wisdom and support has just changed and shifted my life in so many ways. So I'm very grateful for you, for the work that you do, and for those doors that you open up for so many of us. Thank you.
Oh, yeah. It's my pleasure, my privilege.
And we're talking about animal communication, and I think sometimes we don't know what that is. I know before I stepped into this space, I had, I think, a different picture, and I wasn't quite sure what it was. And I was actually a little bit fearful and intimidated by it. Wasn't quite sure what I thought about it. And I love how you started saying, we're already communicating with our animals. This is just taking it to additional levels and building from that. So how would you explain for someone that perhaps this is foreign or new to, but interesting, what is animal communication and what is it about, and why is it important?
Well, those are a lot of questions. You might have to cut me off. But I'll get started.
Beautiful.
It's the big difference between what we expect and what we discover when we enter this world is that I think most of our expectations kind of come from a daily life, rational mind, third-dimensional space. We think of a conversation as something more or less linear, where words go back and forth, and that does happen. But the space, which people, when we do our classes, when we do sessions, they immediately go into a different space. It's more of a fifth-dimensional space. It's holistic. It's like a world. It's nonlinear. Animals use pictures. They send you visuals. Your own telepathic skills become engaged, whether you think you have them or not, or whether you're used to them or you've developed them or not. And you just become sort of in a suspended state of relaxation most of the time and discovery. And the information comes to you in a very different way. And I mean, the thing that I'll say that most people experience is they suddenly just know what's going on. And, sometimes they have to teach themselves. The favorite part of my classes is when people do their first connection and they turn the camera back on in our Zoom classes, and the looks on their faces almost make me cry every time because it's amazement in what they experience, And I'll just say that I think it's important because in our world, because once we understand that these, what we consider nonverbal beings are just as lucid and aware as we are, then we start to realize that maybe our understandings of humans who are different from us might have been based on things that weren't actually real, our judgments, our preconceived perceptions, etc., and that maybe those who are different from us are really not so different. That's a world peace statement, in my opinion. Animals contribute.
Thank you. Well, and it's that reminder that you opened with, that we're all connected and have value and contribute to each other and learn from each other. And this is a way that we can connect and expand and grow. And I find that it's the love and support is quite amazing to just take in and drink in that is around us. We just don't always hear it and always see it. And that one of the things that you help people with in the different sorts of animal communication support that you do is you help them connect with the humans in their life. Like there's this higher connection, and that takes them on a journey. And it can help them into deeper, more true alignment. Can you share how animals support humans to do this? Sometimes I call it to our higher self, that we're able to become more and more of who we truly are. How do animals support humans in doing that and being that?
Well, the primary ways they do it, just sort of the literal, what you observe, is reflection. They match your own vibration. They're basically trying to show humans, usually, a lot of times they have other things to say. The more you have a personal domestic relationship with an animal, the more, that daily routines and your own issues, emotional issues with your animals actually get involved. But generally, they're trying to show you how to go higher. It's a regular theme. It actually matches your August theme on the show, and they want you for this all the time, They want you to have the courage to be more of who you really are. In the Abraham Hicks teachings, which I love to listen to a lot, this might be translated as animals want you to merge with your inner being. It's also the joke. Don't you wish you were the person your dog thinks you are? But it's a reality, and your dog is trying to show you the possibilities. And sometimes it can be very simple. I had a little kitty, Peaches, and she didn't say a lot. She was almost timid. She didn't have any negativity in her body. She was amazing. And her main message was, I want my human George to play his guitar more. And that could be something someone would think is pretty simple. But the backstory there was George hated his job. George's life was miserable. He couldn't handle himself. He couldn't manage. Many of us humans, we hate our jobs. We don't know what to do. And he was pointing to that as, if you can look at this and, find your way through this and to a happier place, your whole life will change. So the simplicity sometimes of that for them is pretty amazing.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And I know you have a couple of stories. I think one with Otto as well. Do you mind sharing, if that's still in your heart to share?
Oh, Otto's my favorite story. Otto was a young bulldog. He was deaf. He was only about 8 months old. And, his human contacted me. She was really great. She worked with developmentally disadvantaged children. So she already had some insight, but Otto couldn't understand about potty training. He didn't know how to ask to go outside. He was deaf. He didn't really bark much at all. So when I connected with Otto, he was just the most relaxed, chill being you can imagine, And there was just this kindness and this love and support. So we got to the point of, you need to go over to the door and bark when you need to go potty. And I had to show him how to bark, push the air up over my vocal cords. So what he flowed back to me was, well, wouldn't it just be easier if I learned how to open the door? You showed me that. And when he said that, it just portrayed the whole, and I'll use the word misunderstanding, that humans have about other species and intelligence and sovereignty and cooperation. It was just amazing. I had to explain that wouldn't work.
Oh, but thank you for sharing. You're right. Sometimes we just look at things a certain way and we don't think about it differently, or we underestimate, I think, those in our lives, and we don't see who they really are and what they are really trying to show us and share with us. And I think we have so much that we can learn and discover and expand if we're willing to lean in, connect, and learn, have that hat on to explore, discover, and listen. I think ears to really hear and a heart to hear what is being shared with us. We are going to our next commercial break, and as we do so, listeners, I want you to just stop and pause and think about what Elizabeth has shared. See what is bubbling up to your heart and to your spirit. And perhaps an animal is coming to your heart and mind that you're wanting to connect with a little bit more deeply. Take note of that, and you can take steps to start to connect more. We'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
A little birdie told me Voice America is on X. Follow us at Voice America TRN.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Have you become a member yet? Sign up now to become a member of Voice America. It's always free and easy. Plus, you get to take advantage of some great member benefits. Get unlimited access to millions of hours of on-demand content across all of our channels. Keep track of your favorite episodes, shows, and hosts in your own customizable library. Find out what shows you might be interested in based on your favorites. Plus, you get insider access with our newsletter. Membership gives you more. Sign up at voiceamerica.com and click register at the top right.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
It's your world. Motivate, change, succeed. VoiceAmericaEmpowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes, and curious to see what bubbled up in your heart and your spirit as you stopped and thought about animals in your life, or even maybe an animal that crossed your path and that stood out in some ways. I find frequently there's a powerful message for me there when an animal kind of drops into my space in an unusual way and gaining my attention, that there's great wisdom and insight and messages that I receive from that. So curious to see as you start to lean in what you're noticing. And we have some great wisdom, that Elizabeth is going to share in a moment. But Elizabeth, we actually have a caller online. and I'd love to bring her on. And this is Susan from Arizona. Susan, I'd love to welcome. Glad to have you join us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I have a question for Elizabeth.
Beautiful. We'd love to hear it.
Good morning, Elizabeth.
Hi, Susan.
I was on your website, and I saw that you created a manifestation journal with a dog. And so I was interested in it, but I don't understand how it works and how somebody else's dog is going to be able to help me manifest what I want. And so I was just wondering if you could maybe explain how that works.
Sure. That's a really good question. It really sort of takes us to the core of how some of this works. The book that you're referring to is a 369 manifestation journal that I wrote, co-authored with a client and student of mine, The Key to Realizing Your Dreams Through Expanded Consciousness. And it's a story of her and her dog, Miley. I met Miley right as she was passing. And so all of this is from conversations with Miley as she's in spirit. And there's so much to it. But the client is interested in manifestation. That's her passion. So that's what the book's about. And when an animal's in spirit, they can act as a magnetic gathering point for other guides. They kind of do that, physically too, but it's very easy in spirit. So that really means that yours or, whoever's reading a book, about, in this case, co-written by Miley, paying attention, becoming very engaged, what happens is your guides are aware of that. And they can become interested and they just gravitate. I mean, it's different when you don't have a body, and move to that same attention point where Miley is and where she generated the wisdom. And they actually partner, with that energy, that spirit being Miley, to speak to you. And it's, what happens is you're reading, and the analogy might be there's a yellow highlighter. Your guides are going through Miley's book with a highlighter because what they want you to pay attention to pops out to you. And it's a lot of it's universal wisdom. Miley is a pretty unique and incredible being, but anybody can get personalized messages from reading a book like this. It doesn't even have to be Miley's book. That's just how it works.
So what I'm hearing is that as we're drawn to a book or something like this, we lean into that. It starts to become personalized to us. Certain things will pop out within the messaging that are really tailored for us in all of that wisdom, process, and insight. Is that a correct understanding?
It is, and in this case, it's fueled by the passion of an animal spirit being who really wants to help. Your
in
own
that
guides
particular
plus that, yes, yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing, Susan. Does that answer your question?
I think so. Yes. Thank you very much.
Absolutely.
Oh,
thank you for calling in. We appreciate it.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, I love that. So that's another way and resources that you're bringing to us that can really align and support us. And I think it's also bringing up something that we can talk with animals, whether they are in body or in spirit. And that can be a really powerful experience. And I think not everybody's aware of that. So anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I will just venture to say that sometimes it's almost easier, because the animal spirit is aligned with a higher vibrational, aspect of themselves, and than they were able to maybe on Earth, being in a body. So they're actually able to help convey and flow the information and also assist the person, the human who's receiving it, in understanding it more. So it's a really special thing.
Mm. And I'm curious, how would a human know if there is an animal, perhaps in spirit, that is wanting to connect with them more deeply, is wanting to share? How would they recognize or know, oh, that's an animal I want to reach out to or I want to get help connecting with? How would they know that?
Well, it's kind of funny because that's exactly, I get emails that said, I've really been thinking about my dog, Howard. He died 4 years ago, and I went through grief. I got over it. But for the last 2 weeks, I just keep seeing pictures of him. I'll have memories, and that's just really how it happens. They move into your auric field, into your energy zone, and they send you little messages. And, your heart is going to be open, so you're going to get them.
Beautiful. And that's a way we could start to recognize and maybe even lean into connecting more and more that connection and heart space is there. And we have that opportunity. Yeah. Could be a little bit of a prompting that we can lean into and receive. One of the things that we've talked about today is the wisdom and the support that animals bring. And I know that there are 3 pieces of wisdom you wanted to highlight today that you have learned and discovered in working with animals and their humans, and that these 3 pieces can really help support humans and stepping into who they truly are and really owning that, sharing that, and shining that out. So would you share the 3 pieces of wisdom with us?
Yes, of course. This is really what I want people to take home today, if they will. And, it takes courage to move more into who you really are. And they're always trying to help you with that. The first thing is just observing without judging, either what's going on around you, others, or, probably the most difficult is yourself. It's really, understanding that you can probably come to a more neutral place of observation than you normally are in. Because, as humans, we're so stressed, we're so busy, we have to make conscious decisions to have a life with less stress. And that's usually advisable, and that's like one of the first things the animals want to help you with. They don't like stress. So observing without judging would be one. The other is the second one would be just stop doubting yourself, There's no argument there, and we all doubt ourselves. And that's the biggest block that most people have when it comes to learning animal communication. It's just their own self-doubt. So that's really important. The third, I think, is very simple. It's being in present time. Because usually as a human, we're always worrying about something that happened in the past or considering something that's going to happen in the future. And it's not as often as you might think that we're just truly in present time. And animals live in present time. So they don't like it when you don't join them there. I mean, have you ever been petting your cat and you start worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow, and suddenly your cat, puts its teeth on your hand? Hey, don't do that. So, these are things I get over and over from animals,
Oh, thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. And I think it's, if we can just breathe and take those things in, it can make such a difference for us. And the other thing that's popping up as we're talking is, that's great. I do want to be more present with my animal. I'm not sure. There's a little bit of doubt. I'm not quite sure where to start. And I keep feeling this reminder or a past connection or a past being is just pressing upon me. I remember my dog or cat from childhood or a horse or whatever it is just keeps coming to me. And I really didn't know I could connect with those who no longer embody. And I'd like to start connecting. How do I start with a body in spirit, a body not in spirit? Where do I start if I want to start to go deeper? I want to start being open to connecting. Where do I start?
That's a big question, Rebecca. I'll break it down a little bit. With a being in spirit, I recommend that you just simply go into your heart and start meditating a little bit more. Start journaling or recording what you notice in life a little bit more. Get a little bit more centered and just, say in meditation and or out loud, I'm open. I want to know more. I want to connect with you more and see what happens. Beyond that, you can, have a session with a professional animal communicator. Most animal communicators will work with animals in spirit. I actually don't know any who don't. Sometimes they have limitations, of how long it's been since they've been in a body. I find that really varies, and I've never really found an animal that's not available, on some level. So with animals that are in the body, use those 3 tips that I gave you about being present, observing, trying to be neutral, don't doubt yourself. Being in your heart is going to open the channel between you and your animal. Like, they try to show us things. They'll demonstrate or reflect. They'll even take you to that place of annoyance and impatience that you're trying to avoid with yourself. And just look at what they're doing as communication. The easiest way to work with almost anything they present is just to allow it to kind of work its way into your own spiritual path. Almost immediately. Just accept it as a piece of information. And see, if you accept something that they're showing you or doing as information, they think they're communicating. Mm-hmm. So, and they are. So, it's really important for animals to feel received and not doubted. So that's a great first step for that. It's just grow quiet, observe, practice trying to become more of who they are pointing you to be. Be willing to learn from them and change and let them lead you. And that's all about sort of daily interactions and behavior. That will change everything. It's sort of non-specific in a sense, but just be more present, open, and accepting of who they are and what they're trying to show you in your life. And beyond that, I recommend everybody to take a basic course in animal communication. You will learn so much more, and you'll get a lot more out of any session that you do because you'll scoot around to my side of the table and see what I do with the animals. And that's really important in terms of the whole sending and receiving information.
Great. Thank you for sharing. And I love that we can start by being present and connecting. And as we're doing that, really listening with our heart, observe, feel, don't overthink and analyze, observe and feel and receive by being present. And then you can learn more. You can get support with an animal communicator. You can take a beginning class where you can get a little bit of structure and support in connecting in as well. So there's lots of ways that you can start to step forward. I appreciate you sharing some of them. And I'm curious about another question. What holds us back? If all of this is available to us and exciting, I know I held myself back for a little while, and I can speak to that, but I'm curious what you observe holds humans back.
I'll first say the rational mind. We've all developed this way of navigating reality. It's usually more prominent in humans who've experienced some sort of childhood dysfunction because they use that to keep them safe, and it functioned really well, saved their life, So there's this real anxiety that comes up in the human when they start to move away from a rational mind perspective. And the rational mind doesn't know what you're doing when you're talking to animals. They're like, whoa, don't go there, don't do that. That's really outside of bounds. So you can go into talking to animals and you can become like almost instantly moved way down the road. It's like playing the violin or developing sports skills. You've got to practice, in order to, because it's so expansive. But when you actually get a little bit good at it, the rational mind gets really upset. and it starts asking questions, it wants to argue, it doesn't understand, and so that combined with just a normal amount of human doubt, kind of becomes judgment, and you slip into judging, what you're doing. I mean, I can't tell you how many students do great in class and they go home and the doubt sets in and they come back to class, the next session, and they're like, and they explain that. And so we have to go back through, what doubt does. I give them an example that I give everybody, and how to see it from an animal's perspective. That usually helps.
Thank you for sharing. I appreciate that. I think we do try to understand and rationalize, and this is what we know, and then this can take us to places we don't know, and that can be a little bit scary and expansive. And I know another thing that held me back was fear. So it was, yes, going into a little bit of unknown space, but I was almost afraid of what I might discover or learn, or maybe somehow I could have done something better, or I hurt an animal, or it's like there was a fear that I had to push through to connect. And what I found was love and support and healing on the other side of that, when I was willing to, kind of face it and be willing to observe and take it all in, and ended up finding the fear melted away. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced that you've worked with, Elizabeth, but I know that was some of what held me back. I was almost afraid to find answers to my questions around certain things.
Yeah, that's pretty common. There's a couple things I think that's going on there. One is when you are somebody who is naturally really expansive, who, has your intuitive skills developed, who is very creative and imaginative, you can go into communicating with animals and it's like a world that explodes, and you can start to get a lot of information at once. And if you don't have enough structure, like the masculine part of your own, personality, let's say, developed, then you can kind of get lost in the feminine side of just, unlimited creativity. So then that's where practice is actually even more important, and getting a lot of experience with talking with a lot of different animals really helps you sort of build out your navigational tools, your skill sets, your chops. You run into something like, oh, I know what to do here. I've seen this before. The other thing I think is that fear sometimes comes from people whose hearts are so big that they're going to do something wrong. You're going to mess something up. Don't get in there. You might have muddy boots. Something could go bad. That type of fear. And I think generally that's just kind of a childhood fear based on rigidity and real rules about what's right and wrong, and don't do this, do that type of information that we all eventually grow out of, especially if we go down a spiritual path. Or a metaphysical path, which is what communicating with animals is.
Thank you for commenting on that and sharing. I appreciate it. We are getting ready to step to our next commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to share how you can connect with Elizabeth and go deeper. We'll look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Voice America is on LinkedIn. Connect with us today.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
You need to live up to your full potential. You've heard that for years, but now there's a channel to help you get there. Introducing the Voice America Empowerment Channel. Our listeners have told us that they want to be motivated, hear about success stories, and positive encouragement around the clock. And we've responded to you. The Voice America Empowerment Channel is the home of the world's top life coaches, entrepreneurs, and success experts. Listen to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. It's here at voiceamericaempowerment.com.
Rebecca Hall Gruyter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at speakertalentsearch.com. That's speakertalentsearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Find out what makes the most successful people tick. Keep listening to the Voice America Empowerment Channel. voiceamericaempowerment.com.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-888-346-9141. That's 1-888-346-9141. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. So many great things to think about, or I should say feel about, so we're not overthinking, feel about, as we lean into connecting more deeply with those animals that are in our lives, both present and in spirit. And I wanted to make sure that you knew how to connect with Elizabeth if you were interested in going deeper, taking one of her courses, or learning more. Elizabeth, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
I just go to my website. It's carolelizabethlong.com. I think it's in your promo materials. There's information about how sessions work there. There's a little bit of information about classes, how they work, how mentoring works. I've got new fall classes up, end of August, September. You can communicate with me. There's, inquiry forms. Don't hesitate. You can email me through those forms or directly. I'll give you my direct email address. It's carolllongsongs@gmail.com.
Beautiful. And can you give us your website one more time?
Sure. It's carollelizabethlong.com, my full name.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing today and joining us. I appreciate it. And I know that our listeners got a lot of value and insight and perhaps an expanded perspective and view on how and what animal communication is and how we can connect more deeply with those in our lives. I just truly appreciate it. Listeners, I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope you have a page full of notes and thoughts, as well as some animal names that you are feeling prompted, pulled to connect with, or one that has crossed your path. I hope you lean into discovering the messages, the wisdom, the love they have for you. I hope as you go back into the day, you take a couple moments for you. Choose how you step forward. Choose how you and what you echo out into the world. Be mindful, not an automatic, but mindful of how you choose to step forward. And whatever you do, wherever you go, I hope you choose to bloom where you're planted and shine. Have an amazing week, everyone, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter, next Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time, 10 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment Channel, with a replay on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern and 1 p.m. Pacific on the Voice America Variety Channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.